So, power over Ethernet, okay? Like I was saying earlier, all the endpoints using the power from your switch, which a lot of them nowadays are PoE. Like Netgear has those 48 ports of PoE for about $800, and it's a really good level 2 switch. And it's cheaper than actually buying bricks for all of your telephones out of the box, and makes controlling them a lot easier. And they're actually smart as they sequence up in banks 8, so you don't hammer 48 phones simultaneously on the power supply inside the switch. In addition to telephones, there's IP security cameras, access points. As PoE is maturing, there's going to be remote tools to control your PoE devices. Here's just kind of like a traditional picture where you have a PoE switches and you have devices hanging out throughout your organization with no power cord whatsoever, just one Cat5e cable out there, and it's got the power on the cable itself. In the AF specification, you had 3 different classifications for power, and the classification is all about reporting back to the switch. Reporting back to the switch how much power is being pulled out. And so, the new AT specification is doubling that power basically because of all the new video devices that are coming out via the telephones or video cameras, and still not being able to power the power cord on them. So, the other really nice thing about using PoE switches with phones in an infrastructure is that when the lights go out, you don't have to have UPS everywhere. Old-fashioned phone systems, good or bad or indifferent. When the power went out, the phone still worked. Why? It was tied on a Cat3 cable, and they didn't use any power or anything. They just hung off that. There was power on the cable, and it just worked. When you have a power failure with an IP telephony system, the whole system goes away. So you got to have it on you got to have it on UPS generator or something, or a combination of both. If you have PoE switches, then you can put certain PoE switches or all your PoE switches on the UPS with the PBX, and now you leave phones up and running when you have a power failure. Extremely important that you take it one step farther. Make sure you include your routers, and make sure you include any of your interfaces to things like fiber from the phone company in your punch-down closet, so that you have, because nowadays we're getting a lot of our service over fiber, and so or T1, but they have a box inside your building. Like we have a T1 coming in the building at one site, but of course, new box, put a box in that converts it to an Ethernet cable and shoves it half for data and half for my T1 service. And when the power goes off, I don't power that box, I lose everything. So, you need to think about these kind of things when you're designing your infrastructure to make sure that you at least keep a few emergency phones up and running when you have a catastrophic failure inside of the organization. So, here are some examples of things. Like the Polycom video phone takes 12 watts. The Cisco phone takes 9 watts. Most of them don't push the spec. But when you plug 4 devices in these little Netgear PoE switches, if you were to punch in 4 of the video phones, the overcurrent light would come on because they just don't have a big enough power supply to handle that. So, but likewise, in some PoE switches, they'll give you PoE on all 48 ports of your switch, but they really tell you it's a 24-port PoE switch with 48 ports. And what you have to do is you have to worry about the management of the power itself. So, and here's kind of one of those management pictures inside of a switch. I think this is a D-Link box. It looks like a D-Link box. The Netgear, it's like that. They all look the same. They tell you how much total power you're using on the box and things like that. So, I talked a few minutes ago about ARP. One of the things that I do when I'm working on saying what a system is, go out and do an ARP and find out what device I'm out there. You might get stuck sometime. You want to try to find something. The nice thing about an ARP is that you can associate the IP number. You get the IP number and you get the MAC ID for something. So if you have a problem finding out the IP number of one of the phones is like, you can do an ARP, look at the MAC ID, and find the IP so you can log into the phone. So that's basically using, the hardware layer to find out information at the TCP/IP level about a device.